Welcome, Saxon, to the podcast of Double Triple. Really excited to chat with you. We've probably known each other now for 4 weeks. That's how quick it's all gone from the process. But
Yeah.
Saxon spoke with you a couple of weeks ago around wanting to leverage your sales skills that you already had and make the move into tech sales. So super excited to unpack the journey for you, where you came from and your experience moving into the tech industry and what you're looking forward to in the future. But would love to hand it over to you, Saxon, for a bit of an introduction of yourself.
Yeah, of course, of course. So like really I started it all obviously still in high school. Like I've been soccer obsessed my whole life. So like since I was like 5 years old, been playing my whole life. It was obviously my dream to go professional there. So throughout school, I think like a lot of people during that age as well are sort of unsure what to do. But I got into a school-based apprenticeship where I was doing plumbing. So throughout school and like at the end of school, when school finished, I was doing my plumbing apprenticeship, but obviously with the goal to push for professional football. Which I mean, I didn't mind it. You know, I learned a lot of things like hard work. I mean, I worked with my dad as well, so that was pretty interesting. But then I got the chance to play for a professional club, but with their academy, their under 23s, which is like what I'd been really like working towards, which was Wanderers, Western Sydney Wanderers. And when I went there, obviously we were training in the morning, sometimes afternoon. So I had to sort of stop my apprenticeship with plumbing, and I stumbled into sort of a sales role where I was doing appointment setting or like DM setting for someone on Instagram, sort of like a fitness influencer. Where I mean, I was working, 3 to 4 hours a day, sending like a few hundred messages from my phone, booking meetings. So that was sort of how I got into sales and the sales environment. And when I was booking those meetings, obviously I was getting a bit of commission for that, but the person who was actually taking the calls, like I started doing the numbers and how much the program costs, and I thought like, wow, like, you can earn some serious money. Like maybe that's something I want to go into, which I mean, the football career, I was still playing at Wanderers at the time, and a few injuries here and there. And yeah, it sort of started to slip further away. But I was really enjoying sales because I think a lot of football translates well into sales, like the hard work, rejection. It's sort of something you've dealt with.
Mhm.
So I decided to move on to a bit of a closing role, if you say, for a different company, which was American based, but it was mainly outbound sales. And I was working with them for the past 8 months, really. And with it being American based, like the time zones was pretty rough. I mean, for my first month, because obviously closing was pretty new to me, I wanted to like skip all the time, work as much as possible, like just get good as quick as I can. So I was going to sleep at like 3 p.m., waking up at 11 a.m. so I could start work at 12. And I remember days where I would work from 12 a.m. till 2 p.m. I shut my laptop and I would go into bed, put my blindfold on, earplugs in, and try and sleep. And yeah, I did that for the first month there. I mean, that was half my choice, but really, if you wanted to make like really good money there, it's something you sort of have to sacrifice. So I mean, I realized I couldn't do that for much longer. So then I started waking up at 4 a.m. And this also was 7 days a week. Like I was waking up 4 a.m., 7 days a week, making over 300 calls a day. Like all it was sit on a dialer, call, and try and upsell as many people as possible. So obviously I got a lot of conversations in, talked to a lot of people, which obviously helped a lot with my sales skills, which I definitely don't regret. But honestly, like I started to realize like this isn't sustainable like long term. It was also a commission only environment as well. So like I obviously was starting to realize like how much longer can I do this for in the high ticket space, who actually can consistently make good money like long term, because it is something new. I personally didn't see too many people actually researching it. So I thought I'm doing, all the hard work, doing volume, learning sales, like also being in the commission only environment, but there's no real like clear pathway forward. And that's when, I sort of kept hearing and seeing people talk about tech sales. Obviously saw your videos come up as well. And I thought, why not take what I built and bring it into like more of a structured environment where there's a clear path forward and a bit of stability as well.
No, for sure. I remember like our first conversation, it was really discussing the football and like pretty much like like I'm so impressed with the hours that you're working, and it just goes to show, I think, you've landed a role basically from when we started talking, really like 3 weeks first into like first time engaging to like an offer and ready to start. And I think that just goes to show all the skills and capabilities, your characteristics that you built through soccer and your current sales role. And I think no better people, honestly, being in full commission only roles to transition in. And I think there's obviously the upside there with the base, but uncapped commissions as well. How was like even the like when we started speaking, were you like pretty much at the point where you knew you were ready to get into tech sales, how and you'd been researching tech for quite some time?
Honestly, no. Like, honestly, I think I was ready to leave what I was doing like well before I even spoke to you. I think the first time I spoke to you, like I said, like honestly, like I've seen tech sales videos and things like that, but I think I'm someone that likes to move quite quickly, and it just felt right. I literally spoke to you. I was like, look, I don't know anything. Like
Mhm.
I've done sales, but I don't know any of these fancy like words. Even the videos I'm watching, like I'm watching them, but like I'm not really understanding what's going on. So honestly, I remember I was like, I don't know anything. Like I don't know
I
if this is
remember.
yeah.
Yeah. No, I literally remember my first year in tech. It just felt like you were learning a whole because everything's like acronyms in I feel like in tech. So it's
Yeah.
just like learning all those the new words, and it's like almost like a new vocabulary that you need to learn, but you pick it up super quick. When you were playing football, and like you're still playing football now, right?
Yeah, yeah. So I'm playing at Manly United, and
Yeah.
PL1. Great. So yeah, I'm still playing at the moment.
But was it like you obviously sort semi-stopped, or then you got into high ticket, but then you were working crazy hours, and it's like almost I think you realized like you wanted to keep playing like football regardless of what level it is, and now you brought that back into your life as well.
Yeah, so like I was at Wanderers, and then when I left, I was like, I'm just gonna work like crazy. And I was injured for quite a long time, so I wasn't actually like training. And then like when I got back into it, when preseason started, I was like, oh well, like I mean, that was part of the reason why I started working, had to change as well, like till 4 a.m. But then training finishes, I get home at realistically 9:30, like ideally. Then you want to eat after you train, usually. Like, my goal was like, yeah, sleep at 9 and I'll be up at 4, like 7 hours. Like that's all right. But realistically, you're not falling asleep till 10:30. So then it's like, what, 5.5 hours of sleep, waking up at 4, like, and then still playing at a fairly high level, semi-professional. Like my body, I was still getting injuries. I think that's the main reason. Like, I was dealing with a lot of injuries too, like just the American-based hours that I was working. Like I was like, if I want to keep enjoying life, like simple things like being active, yeah, it wasn't sustainable.
No, for sure. And like from my understanding, right, you kind of when you get into the high ticket sales space, it's like there's obviously lots of great offers too in Australia, but obviously the market's a lot bigger in the US. So to your point, it's like you kind of have to work the US hours if you want to, I guess, close more deals.
Yeah, I definitely think that the high tech space, obviously everything's a bit bigger in America. So like realistically, most of the companies or people you're working for, they're saying like they're American. And also like I think there's a big misconception as well of like how many hours you can work in high ticket. Like it's sort of like work 4 hours, you close 50% and you make 2 grand a day. It's like who's closing at 50%? Who's employing someone that's only going to set their calendar on for 4 hours? Like you're just
Mhm.
going to get replaced by someone else realistically. So maybe for a couple months. And I think that's where like most of the numbers come in high ticket. Like I don't know too many people that have sustainably made good money, like over even a 12-month period.
Yeah,
it's about transitioning into like selling sales themselves, like, you know, so.
For sure. How was like I assume it was like did you get heaps of coaching and all that through that? Like did you feel part of like a team doing it?
Not I mean, when I originally joined the company, there was like a team and captain, like we had little teams within the company and you had captains and like the team I was at was fairly decent, it seemed. Like we got together every week, but realistically, like everyone's from around the world. It was about 30 minutes a week. You don't really talk to anyone. Like it and after I think like 3 or 4 months I was there, they got rid of that. So there
Mm,
was no really environment. I think they did try, but realistically, when everyone's working from remote, everyone's from like around the world,
yeah,
you don't really speak to anyone. Like I honestly wasn't really speaking to anyone. And then they had sales coaching sort of things to help people, but I sort of went my own route with that. I got a little bit of help myself from somewhere else.
nice.
Yeah, it wasn't like massively, it really didn't feel like a community, especially when I'm by myself, like up at 4 a.m. It felt like no one was really around, to be honest.
No, for sure. And I appreciate, like to your point, it's like let's say you had like 4 sales calls that day, or even six, whatever the case is. And of course, like maybe it's like 6 hours or 4 hours of work on those sales calls. But I wouldn't even say it's like there's because it's commission only and obviously your time there, but it's the time that you're also not getting paid in terms of like prepping for the call, like mentally preparing for it. And like there's a lot of research that goes into also like the person that you're going to jump on the call with to make sure like you're telling the right story as well.
Yeah, of course. And like I talked to someone and they said in a commission only environment, they were like, the only hours you should classify as work is the hours you're actually talking. And I was like, but it's not really true because if I have a call at 1:30 and I'm sat here and the person doesn't show up, like I could have been doing something else. Like you can't tell me that I wasn't working. Like you waste a lot of time because especially if your only thing is to sell, like then what am I going to do for the next 30 minutes? Like realistically, I could have had an hour to do something productive, but I've focused on
100%.
yeah.
No, totally. Yeah, it's like the because obviously sales is like the whole part of it too. It's like it's definitely like mindset. Like you have to prepare yourself, like you have to come on professional, and it's such a misconception of just jumping on the call 1 minute before and then show up and throw up. Like it just doesn't work that way.
Yeah, no. Yeah, I think there's a big misconception when it comes to like hours work, how much you can make and things like that. I
Yeah.
mean, I I I did somewhat enjoy it as well. Like it's something not bad. I mean, it taught me a lot of hard
Well, you
work.
did.
Like
You also did really well in it. Like you did when we spoke. Like I won't share your numbers or anything, but like you did really well for your age. Like from definitely my understanding, and you smashed it while you were there.
yeah, yeah, definitely. I mean, it was probably definitely part of the amount of hours I was working as well. But like realistically, like when the role is just call as many people as you can a day, like it's just sales is a lot about a numbers game,
Yeah.
especially when it comes to B2C, but B2B, maybe there has to go a bit more thought into what you're doing.
No, for sure. Well, let's pivot into obviously the process now, Saxon. Keen to obviously like talk about not so much like you're obviously going to start your role in a couple of days, which is really exciting. But tell us about like even your experience, obviously working, I guess, with me and Gabe for the past couple of weeks and what that's been like for you, your learnings. Because I know like I'll let you share the story, but I also know like I reposted your post of like, hey, I'm looking to get into tech, and then it's like you almost had like I don't know, like 7 people message you straight away, which was crazy.
Yeah. So like I was saying, like before, like I really when I first talked to you, I knew nothing about tech sales. And like with my past jobs, like because they've been like, I guess, high ticket in terms of sales, I didn't have like a LinkedIn set up. I never really like formally applied for jobs or gone looking for them. So I remember like once, my first call with you, I was like, all right, so like, what do we do? Like, I don't know what to do. Like, how do I talk to people and understand what they're saying really? So I think one of the first things we did was obviously like clear up why I wanted to do it, like my story. And then it was, make a LinkedIn account. I didn't have one. So I remember I made that first post, which you helped me create as well, and you reposted it. And I don't know, this would have been a couple days as well in terms of like into actually doing it. Like we were already straight in, and instantly like that repost I had that afternoon, I think I might have posted it around, I'm not 100% sure, like let's say around midday. And like I had people saying like, calling you now. And I took a call. I took a call like within 30 minutes, an hour. And I was like to you, like, oh, this person wants to call me. Should I take it? You're like, why not? Like, just it's practice anyway. And I took it and they were like, yeah, we want to meet you on Monday. I think it was a Friday, whatever. Like, we want to meet you. Come in. And I was like, wow. And then even now, like people are texting me from that post.
That's
Still now.
crazy.
It was pretty, I was like, wow. I thought it was very chaotic, but I was like, okay, I gotta figure out like, is this one valuable? Should I even take this call? Which is something you guys helped with as well, like massively. But having like, when this was all going on, like, and I was like, oh, this person wants to call me. Like, what do I say? What are some questions they might ask me? How do I prepare? Like, it was just a simple text to you guys. And like, I remember because I was like, oh, I don't know if they'll see the message, but it was like instantly you sent me like voice messages back. Like, they're going to ask you this. You should ask them this, like, make sure it's actually a good role. Like, ask them these questions. Don't waste your time. It's something you always say, like, as much as you're getting interviewed, like you're interviewing them.
100%. I think, and I know through the whole process, like you had, like let's say you had like 7 opportunities kind of after like 2 days.
Yeah.
But I think the cool thing was like, there, to your point, there was opportunities where we're like, don't even like, thank them for their time. But it's not worth, the next career chapter for you. And I think we did a pretty good analysis of picking the right company and going from there for your first role. What in terms of like the process for you, Saxon, is there any lessons like you took out of the actual interview process for other people looking to get into tech?
That's a good question. I think definitely coming into it, like doing a bit of background check on the person that's interviewing you, and also the company. Like, I think people focus about maybe talking about their story too much. Like, realistically, those people you're talking to, like, they've probably heard it all. Like, if you have XYZ experience, like, oh, I want to get in for this reason. Everyone's going to have similar reasons. Like, yours might be more impactful story, but like just little things like, oh, if you're asking a question, for example, like, how do you guys internally promote? Like, what's that case sort of like? And you're like, oh, I noticed that you've been promoted 3 times in the past couple years. Like, how are you enjoying? And they'll just notice like subconsciously, oh, he actually put in a bit of time and effort. So I think that's a little game changer, if I would say
Yeah.
one.
No, definitely. Like, because you had like obviously conversations with the hiring managers and things like that, but it's like you want to make sure that you've like you're excited about even like their career chapter that they've done at their company, right? Like, what lessons can you learn from them? And for the folks listening, like part of obviously your interview process at one of the roles that you landed was like you ended up having to do like it was like basically an hour or it was like a 30-minute presentation. You had to do role plays and everything through that for the preparation of it. And obviously through that whole process, putting together a presentation deck, having to pitch it, like there's a lot of prep that goes into these interviews. Like I think maybe because similar thing, like I know when I worked at the NRL, I had a few interviews. But obviously other roles, like I'd just been in personal training. So it was like, hey, do you want to hire me? And it was sort of it. I think like in tech, it's a lot more complex in terms of having to get an offer.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like that was a part of it. Like, even for me, just having someone call me and like a little screening interview I hadn't really done. Like, it's usually me. And then obviously, with the one I went for, the presentation, like never done anything like that. Obviously, the cold call, like mock call sort of thing, I'd done a few calls. Obviously, this is quite different, but had that sort of comfortability on the phone, which I was quite confident with. But like, having to do like a presentation to get a job, which is why I personally like went for that one myself, just because I was like, wow, like if they're taking it so professionally, like it was one of the main reasons. Like, not every single um, company's going to do that, but
Mhm.
most of them you're at least going to have to do a cold call.
Yeah.
or some sort of role play. But like, yeah, having to do like a presentation slide for about 30 minutes explaining all your reasoning behind why or something new for sure.
Yeah. No, and you obviously you smashed it. You basically got a call back pretty much, so I think that afternoon or that next day, and obviously you got the offer, which was super exciting. With everything like you've like, because also like obviously we're like 4 weeks in working together. We're still working together for many more weeks to come, and it's just really the start of your tech journey experience, which we're excited to support you with. But what have you so far learned, even or researched for what you're excited about in the future for what your career now has to hold in tech? Like, I know that's a very broad and answer, and you're only focusing on like basically starting the role next week. But do you have any like visions or thoughts around some of the people you've now spoken with?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think something that's always I've noticed, and I sort of was thinking about it the other day, in fact, is like obviously when you started a company, like my goal is obviously, to become an account executive and on, depending on how it goes, maybe a sales manager, it
Oh,
really depending on what I want. But like definitely want to smash it, get into an account executive role, like in the short term ish, like that's definitely my goal. But the thing that really I like hearing from people, like I've talked to even my one of my brother's friends' dads is VP of sales somewhere, and the person I spoke to, one of the senior hiring managers at the company I'm going to, like everyone I've talked to, even yourself as well, like which I think's rare, they start in as a SDR or a BDR. Like the people at the top of these tech companies start like everyone I seem to talk to, I don't know if it's luck, but like they're like, oh, I started same as you, man. Like every single person, which is like quite promising that obviously having those goals of like getting to those positions, but also like you're being mentored by someone who's done exactly what you want to do. So they've seen it all, like, and just having that around you all the time, I think is like awesome. And it's like promising. It's really promising.
totally. Like, yeah, like the it's such a clear path of what you can do and achieve, right? And it's like it really is a 3 to 5 window, 3 years to 5 year window of like how I've always viewed tech is I always felt like to me, because I obviously stayed as an individual contributor, could have gone as a manager. I decided to stay as an individual, like an account executive. However, it's like I do really believe once you get to like the enterprise account executive or whatever, that level, no one can take that away from you. And then it's just like all the opportunities that continuously open up after that in terms of like a new tech company coming to region or them wanting you to be the founding AE in region or the sales manager. There's so many pivots you can go by that. And it's really just like, really to get to the account executive, like I always say, like 12 months would be amazing to become an account executive, but had that 2 year window, but then you'll become an account executive. And then it's just like the jumps that you keep making from there is awesome. And the biggest shift for me, like Saxon too, when I got into tech is like, because I wasn't around other people making probably over like 100K. Once the VP managers, like all the AEs, like everyone is making good money. And it's just like, it pumps you up with the environment that you're around as well.
Yeah, 100%. Like I remember one of the first things, like I text you after meeting with this hiring manager. I was like, I want the job. Like after
Yeah.
speaking to us, it was just something like he made me like I wanted to work under him, like be mentored by him. He'd been in my position. Like I was just straight away like I really like this guy.
Yeah, no, it's so cool. It's working, especially working for people that you look up to, and they've walked the path. It's just like being around them, getting to hang out with them. It just and the thing with tech is like, especially in Australia too. It's a I wouldn't say it's like a small, but everyone starts to know everyone, and it's really cool when you start to have like even the VP of sales go to like the new hottest startup, and then like they bring their pods, and it's just like it's such an epic time to go through all those experiences as well.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. That's how I figured out. Like I was just talking to my brother and his mates. I'm like, oh, I might go into tech sales, and he's like, oh yeah, my dad's a VP somewhere. I'm like, oh, okay. Like I feel like so many people. Like once you say the word, I didn't realize how many people were like involved and how big it really actually is.
Yeah, you're on the northern beaches, right?
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah,
yeah, I
100.
think a lot of VPs of sales in tech are on the northern beaches. That's for sure. I think once you're now in the bubble, I think you'll start to know a lot of people around there in the
Yeah,
industry.
yeah,
Um,
very honest.
yeah. Well, Saxon, in terms of like just rounding it out here, it's I just really want to highlight as well, and maybe you can share like obviously you've come from sport like your whole life. Like I resonate with like the skills and just like, rocking up to training consistently since 5 years old. How much do you feel like that's translated into you getting into sales?
Yeah, I think having like that sporting background is translated like better than I thought. I think in every job, whatever it may be, like having a sporting background is usually like a good sign people would look for. But with sales, like having that bit of extra like grit and like rejection, like it's something that I feel like when I've always mentioned that, it's something that they sort of want to talk about straight away. And I think it is because it's more common that you've dealt with like adversity and rejection. But I think at the end of the day as well, like even if you haven't played sport, like everyone's been through something. Like you've dealt with some rejection adversary, and it's just all about like how you've dealt with it. And I
Hmm.
think with the sport, like they know that's something you deal with more often, and it's like
Yeah,
you obviously push through it. But like if you can show that you can push through simple things, like not simple, but like you can push through and rejection, adversary, things like that, it's going to be a massive plus for you.
that's awesome. What do you think? Obviously, you working like even in high ticket sales, like working from basically 12 a.m. to 2 p.m. What is the drive? Like, what's actually driven you to like want to do that? Like, what's your internal motivation for even doing that?
Yeah, good question. I mean, a lot of it was the financial freedom aspect. I mean, working like 14 hours. I think it was mainly at that moment like financial freedom. Like that was pretty much all I was thinking about. But I mean, you always hear it like it's not everything. And I like there's a laundry list of problems until you have a health problem. Like so something I didn't really mention earlier, but like obviously sustainably like working the night shift, if you've ever looked or researched anyone doing that, health, like I was definitely in the worst health place I've ever been. Like I was gaining a bit of weight, like even my hair, like simple things I was noticing, like I wasn't taking care of myself. And I was like, well, is this worth that financial freedom? Like
Hmm.
probably not, especially since I was definitely being sporty and like wanted to continue doing that. But yeah, you once you go down to like I remember searching how like what happens because I started getting sick, like what happens or people's experience night shift and like some cray. I won't go into it, but some
No, I love this stuff. Like literally, they say even like going to like the shift workers, or even like going to bed like 2 hours later, it like affects you like so much, right? And I think like for you, Saxon, like you would have been at your peak fitness level. I think anyone that plays professional sport, how I feel like I've always had like confidence because it's like I don't know. For me, it was like I if I did CrossFit or sport, and it's like I trained that morning and I felt good. It's like somehow I had the confidence in the sales core, even though I was still learning sales. And it's like when you start to then feel like really shit, and you're not feeling fit as what you used to, it like definitely it impacts in your whole life.
yeah, and it definitely does. And sales is like, especially my old job, like it's literally talking to people every day. Like as it went on, I started to get like slightly worse because like you can't like if you're unhealthy, you're not feeling good about yourself. Like if you're talking to someone, they just can read it.
Hmm.
Like so just wasn't sustainable. I was like, well, yes, financially free, like, but that's definitely not everything. And I think I went into it quite quickly and didn't think that much about it. I mean, at the time, again, that's like all I was thinking about. But yeah, now like there's a lot of other things that I want to do than just be financially free.
No, you're gonna have all all of them in now tech sales.
Nice. Mhm.
Awesome, Saxon. Well, I really appreciate your time chatting with us today, and love your journey, and super pumped now to watch the next chapter of your career. And um, really, like, we're obviously going to be staying connected in the whole ecosystem. And as tech is in Australia, you start to work more and more with each other, even in different angles. Whether it's like I've sold to a customer, then you're trying to crack into those accounts, and it's a whole ecosystem how we help each other. So looking forward to the next chapter.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm glad that still I'm not, I don't know everything. So like now I've got the role, like now's the next step to smash it, which like I'm glad you guys have been so helpful. To now have you like once I'm in the job is gonna be awesome.
That's awesome, Saxon, and looking forward to it. Well, thank you very
Yeah,
much for today.